got a question. I'm always filled with questions, so I got a question. Let the people hop up in here real quick. Bakers. I got a question. And when people start showing up and the question come out, they know how it go. They know how it go. We'll give it a second. I got a question. I got one. I'm gonna ask my question in about 2 to 3 minutes. So if you can hang in there, all right. But you gotta wait till the people show up. It's down there on the title, anyways. So wait till the people show up. Probably around 3 minutes. I'm gonna ask my question. But if you already know it based off the title, go ahead and comment it so far. But I'm gonna wait till more people show up. So far, I got one so far, but it might get a little busy. We'll see. We'll see. Of course, inside these lives that I do, it's really just about analyzing people's reasoning and their arguments for why they believe what they believe. So we got about 1 to 2 minutes left. I see 2 people so far. I got a question. Hang in there. Hang in there. My question will come out. I got a question. Anybody want to guess my question based off the title? You still got a couple. You still got some time. You still got some time. I mean, these questions get philosophical, so I'm just waiting till a couple more people hop up in here. My question, y'all ready? I got about 15 seconds before I ask my question, and I want y'all to really think about this. I gotta know. 8 seconds. Let's crack in chat. All right. It is funny. I'll give you what. All right. My question is this: free will or determinism? Anybody? If you have questions about which one is either, just let me know. For free will or determinism, let me know in the comments. Do you think that you as a person have complete free will? That is a choice that you make. You can make absolutely any choice you want, or that you live inside of a deterministic universe to where everything has played out or is already planned. And for example, here's an example. Did you choose to click on this live, or was it given that you were going to click on this live? What is free will? Free will is pretty much like saying this to some degree. Now, it's all about the definitiveness of which people choose that it should be called. But free will is pretty much a choice, that you have a choice to do something. Now, based off of your comments, choose, why do you believe you have actually chose? Not gonna lie, it ain't that deep. All right, produced by Terry P. Explain why that's not such a deep concept. Matter of fact, explain why it's not so deep, so much so that that history so far has not actually found any example of which one's actually correct. So, if it ain't that deep, break it to us. Which one do you choose? Do white face, please. Do white face, please. Well, I got a question for you. Enjoy the woods. Now, if I did white face, Would I have chose to do that, or is it determined that I do that? I'm still waiting for produced by Terry P. I'm gonna be honest with you, because Terry P said that it's not really that deep of a question. I find it very deep of a question. Did you choose to get to this live, or was it given to you? Matter of fact, why did you click on this live? It's like Key and Peele skit. I love Key and Peele. Why did you choose to click on this live? Was it something? What about this live made you actually click on it? Was it a conscious choice, or did I actually bring you here? Lonnie Oliver, wait, Blue Baby. I swiped and it just appeared. By the way, where does that even where does that come from? Were you swiping on shorts or something? Enjoy the wood. Sorry if I offended you. No, I'm not offended. Lonnie Oliver just fell in. What's the discussion? Our discussion is: do you believe in free will or determinism? And I want to know someone's argument behind that, because saying it ain't that deep, like Perry, produced by Terry P, ain't a good argument whatsoever. I'll tell you that. It is not. Matter of fact, Terry didn't even give me like an answer. I was looking for an empty stream so I could be first to a stream. Why? Why you want to be first on the stream? That's pretty interesting. Oh, I don't think we could really define it as 100% either. Just my personal opinion. Okay, Blue Baby. uh, Why do you think it is difficult for us to actually define it? And I realized that it wasn't first. Because for you to say you don't think we can actually define it, I would assume. Wait, define which one though? You talking about free will, determinism? You talking about both? Matter of fact, is there free will determinism, or do we actually live in both? And how does that work? Which is called incompatibilism, I believe, or incompatible. I forgot what it's called. I forgot. I think it's compatibilism and incompatibilism. Are they capable? Are they compatible with one another, or are they incompatible with one another? Even though that's a whole different conversation. But anyway, but yeah, Blue Bay, why do you think we can't really define it? As a matter of fact, if anybody want to answer that, like if you've been on my live before, you got to realize that this ain't about a right or wrong situation. It's about analyzing argumentation by the means of logical analysis. That's what it's. That's at least what I'm trying to do. Both. I think there is an element of determinism, but I think we have free will inside that context. Okay, so Blue Baby, I would say for that point of view, will make Blue Baby compatibilist by saying that free will and determinism are compatible with one another. So let's just view how that looks. So in that context, then what is considered determined in the universe, and what is considered, and how does free will fit inside that thing? A little of both, because if you don't push to define yourself, determinism will define who you are. Because if you don't push to define yourself, determinism will define who you are. Can you say that can you say that a little bit more clear for the chat and for me? Y'all gotta realize my page is about nonsense, so I'm very nonsensical. I'm ignorant up here. I don't quite understand certain things, so I need things to be broken down a little bit more. But let me take a shot. Let me take a shot at it. I would assume, because if you don't push to define yourself, I would assume that as you're saying, is that hold on. Things like genres are determined, predefined, but you're not 100% limited to that context. It doesn't limit you unconditionally. Okay, so let's talk on a macroscopic scale of the universe. Is the universe itself determined outside of just, and I'll get right to free will, but is the universe itself based off of its start determined? That's for Blue Baby. But because you will push you to define yourself, this will define who you are. Define yourself, or the world will tell you who you should be. That would depend on your viewpoint of how it started, I believe. Ah, so causality. What caused it will determine if it's predetermined. Um, okay. Now, what would you consider then is your viewpoint on how it started? I'll go right back to determinism, free will, by the way. Define yourself, but the world will tell you who you should be. By the way, if you're new to this live, subscribe, because we talk about some pretty interesting stuff as time goes on. I mean, earlier we talked about what is it to be a man. Y'all can check out that last live. There was some cool chats. Before the night before, we talked about hypocrisy, and if the statement "we are all hypocrites" are true, and if that was to apply, which will apply to be, if the person who says we are all hypocrites will also apply that they're a hypocrite, why is it difficult to stop being a hypocrite? Um, but back to free will and determinism, and and if you do see Coca-Cola or Pepsi, Coca-Cola, I guess I drink that more often. If you do see inside the chat someone who their comment either you can agree with or disagree with, feel free to bring about some kind of rebuttal, or even feel free just to acknowledge that person. I get Lonnie's view too, though. Life is a river. You can let it take you downstream, determinism, or you can swim your own way. Okay, so matter of fact, that's actually a pretty good analogy. Um, okay, so if that's the case, then let's say let's use that analogy itself. And I hope, and if I go too far out of context, feel free to be like, that's kind of a little bit different, and at least explain. So let's say the river, right? This is this causation of movement down a stream, and you're in it. Either you can let it take you, as you guys mentioned, determinism. Basic, but yeah, baby. um, or you can swim your own way. Now, in that being the case, though, is it true or is it false that under those conditions that you in that river is you're swimming or you're going with the flow is determined based off of, for example, let's say environmental conditions. Let's say that somebody's in that river who possibly was not conditioned to swim to be able to make that rational quote unquote choice to swim against it to find a different way. So they go with the flow. Is that do they have a choice inside there, or is that just a predetermined condition for the consequences of, let's say, them flowing? And if so, if there is no choice, if there is a choice, how, and obviously we can link this to a bigger level, something more like socially or whatever like that. But just for the sake of this analysis, this example, well, some of us don't know how to swim. Some don't even know they are in the river. Oh, damn, Blue Baby. Well, some of us don't know how to swim. So, based off of that, then, if some of us don't know how to swim and some of us actually don't know if we're in a river, how can it actually make a clear choice? Especially, let's blow your mind now. Is the river just the sum of others' free will? Is the river just the sum? Are you talking about as in SUM, like the totality of others' free will? Only the strong survive. But yeah, pretty much like I was saying, based off of what you said previously, Blue Baby, is it the case then that if you don't know you're inside the river, how do you make a clear choice? Especially if that river has been determined for you to be in there without you actually knowing you're in the river. Only the strong survive. Evolution, evolving, or possibly only the adaptation survives. That which adapts. I, I, I'm trying to. I want to wrap my head on: is the river just the sum of others' free will? Can you further explain that real quick? So let's say we have the river, right? And if I am correct, if you don't know you're in a river, you probably don't even believe in the concept of determinism. Okay, now let's look at that. So if you don't know you're in the river, then you probably don't even believe in the concept of determinism. Okay. So if that was the case, then based off of your view, let's base off of the person who obviously can see the other person in the river who don't know they're in the river. Is it easy for us to say that their outcome was determined because they don't even know that they're in that river? If you don't know you're in the river, then you won't survive. Then you won't survive. This reminds me of Allegory in the Cave, Plato's. But matter of fact, if you don't know you're in the river, then you won't survive. That statement itself sounds deterministic. That statement itself sounds just like this: that if let's just put it inside of I mean, hopefully I get this right. If A then B, right? This is logic. You say if A, if you don't know you're in a river, then B, you won't survive. Then if that was the case, then if the person's in the river, then the outcome is that they won't survive. It sounds deterministic that if it's the case, then this is the outcome. Would you guys say that sounds accurate, or you say that no, there's still some free will somewhere in there, and if so, where? At least inside that statement. Actually, for both, matter of fact, it's probably really for both. I think both are kind of the same. The only difference is that Blue Baby says probably, which gives you a probability. Explanation, determinism. Is it just other people's free will affecting your direction because you refuse to believe in your own? Others' free will being you, river, determinism. It's others' free will. Well, if that was the case, then for those other people, would they have really free will then? Because that means that what we consider free will is yet their determinism of other people's free will. But then you got to go down the line still and be like, well, then that means those other people's free will are determined based off of other people's free. I mean, it sounds like it'll be like an infinite regress. What do you think about that? You got, I think both of you should subscribe to the channel if you haven't, because this is interesting. I like your point of views. I like the way that you are tackling this conversation. One which produce produced by Terry P. ran from, talking about it ain't that deep, but yet has not given us a damn thing. If you don't know you're in the river, then you don't deserve to survive. Only the strong survive. God damn. Damn. Okay, let's see. If you don't know you're in the river, then you don't deserve to survive. Only the strong survive. Okay, now let's say we have this universe, right? Let's say with that same statement that there is probably something outside of what we even can comprehend right now that says that really, in this analogy, puts us in the river. And we probably don't know about what that is, right? This is why I'm bringing up these probablys. With that exact same statement, would that be the case that we won't survive whatever it is? Or do you think that, oh no, there is the chance we could survive, even though possibly we may still be inside a river? How do you actually know you're not in the river? If we talk about free will and determinism, how do you know that you're not in the river? Is it simply because of the concept of free will that you accept that makes you feel like, hey, I don't feel like I'm in a river? Or is that concept just a deterministic factor for you just to act out deterministically inside the concept of free will? Not a loop. Those who believe in free will act accordingly. Those who don't act accordingly. But to what extent does either side chooses affect the other? Not a loop. Those who believe in free will act accordingly. Those who don't act accordingly, but to what extent does either side chooses affect the other? Free will knows the river. Okay, so Blue Baby, let's see. Those who believe in free will act accordingly. When you say act accordingly, can you further explain? Just so I can link it to the statement that you mentioned. Free will knows the river. Okay, so let's say that free will knows the river. So for Lonnie, what gives you to the point to conclude fully that you know the river based off of free will? If we can't define that, can we even define what free will and determinism mean? Are they even different or two beliefs for the same thing? Well, let's look at this first then. Let's look at definitively then. Obviously, your question is pretty interesting, Blue Baby, because it questions what we define. Obviously comes down to what we agree to. Agreement, definitively. Like you said, or two beliefs for the same thing. But if we can agree that free will is choice, and we say choice is, oh shit, right there, as you got me, because then you have to define choice itself, which probably goes down to free will, or maybe something like, what do you say, act accordingly? Who said that again? I forgot. Anyways, then, oh, Blue Baby said that. Then, but we also then say that determinism is possibly opposite of that, and we can agree on that. Then I guess we will have some kind of, I mean, clear, obviousness that there are these two distinct things that we at least agree on. Because if that was the case, then we will have to probably change the language up in general if we say that this thing is the same as this, and at the exact same time say they're not, because that's obviously a logical contradiction. Free will knows the river. I need a little bit more. I gotta quite understand. I gotta know that. If we can't define that, oh, we already said that. If you're in the river, you know. If not, drown. If you're in the river, you know. You gotta. Well, you have to explain a little bit more about what it means to know about being in the river. What does it mean to know about free will? That's the whole point of the conversation, because then whatever you could bring definitively where we say, oh, okay, that is 100%, then we obviously take it, make it into an objective truth or abstract or whatever the case may be. But is choice just a concept on the mind? Well, that's a good question, because let's say determinism. Determinism could say there's a system out there that crafted consciousness and gave you this concept of free will to where it is determined for you to believe, quote unquote believe, but that belief is also a concept given to you of free will. But that won't really fall inside of the agreement. That doesn't really fall for a good argument for free will. That sounds more like an argument for determinism. I gotta know what you guys think. This is good. See, these are the conversations I like. This is just what I like. Matter of fact, oh, and by the way, I just want to let you all know that I'm a philosophy major. I actually got homework due tonight. So after this live, when this car is done charging, your boy got to submit his stuff in. But I think some of you should definitely get into that. I mean, just the way that you you know comment and think about this concept. I mean, people don't do it on a daily basis, and I think it's important not for. I mean, really, somebody could argue and say, "Hey, it's not important because you can't even find an answer." Probably, or someone could say it's important because it helps you reflect on yourself. I don't know if it's doing it by free will or if it's doing it by deterministically, but I don't know. But I do want to know though, when you, well, for the except for those who are scrolling, I don't know how some people found my live, but if it was the case, let's say if you saw it based off of the title or based off of whatever that I did you feel that you really chose to click on it, or that will determine, or even if you were scrolling your shorts, was it determined that this conversation was to pop up in front of you for you to hop in here and express yourself, or was it just a random choice that came about? Okay, let's see. Is free will actually free though? That, yo, matter of fact, that's a good question. Is free will actually free though? We see a lot, at least in the world, that to even feel like you have a choice, that it comes with a cost, or some people don't even really have access to uh, choices. So I mean, if that's even the way that Gage was going at it, but that's just how I saw it. You got to realize my page is about a multiversal perspective, so I mean, there's different versions for how I'm going to see the same thing. Is free will actually free though? But if you want, Gage, feel free to explain a little bit more about that question, that perspective, because I just took off how I felt by reading that, but it's probably different, different perspectives you can get out of just reading that one question. I ain't gonna lie, this is probably one of my favorite lives. These questions, I mean, I think personally, takes a lot of brain power and a lot of thinking, because of the fact that when you do it through argumentation and through words, and obviously this is why in philosophy they have, why why people always, I'm confused. Why people always say unk? I'm so confused. If you're being pushed towards a point and don't see it and fight, then the river chooses your path. If you're being pushed toward a point and don't see it and fight, then the river chooses your path. Okay. Now, is it determined that that river pushes you to that point though? Because because is there a point where a possibility of the river actually don't push you over there and you just keep on going? I mean, does the I don't know if any of us would say the river has a choice, unless we go back to who I don't know if it's you, Lonnie, or Blue Baby, but someone says about the river being the sum of everyone's choices, which still would be deterministic in a way. But does that river push you there? Because I mean, that you kind of got to look at that factor too. Is it determined that you were going to go there? I wonder what, and I actually want y'all to, if you could, comment what my next live should be about. What's something really that I could find very profound and be like, oh, I gotta see what people think about this. Like that's what I would love to see, because all day I think about is philosophy. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's what I do. Um, but I don't have access to everyone's mind to know interesting point of views people have, perspectives. So feel free to definitely be like, hey, I want to blow your mind with this question. Choose your own path. He said F the river. I wanna agree. I wanna agree. It just Lonnie, the only hard part is that the analogy is cool. It just doesn't fully answer the question. It doesn't fully complete it to say, okay, this is it. It's just it only goes far to be just an analogy in support of a view. Because with the same thing, someone can use the analogy of the river pushing you with and let's say somebody says, hey, you have a real powerful river, then it's kind of hard to have really a choice on where to go. It will nearly feel deterministic wherever you end up at. So and that's just a multiversal point. That's just a different version of something where somebody could say, hey, that's still a valid point in support of a valid analogy in support of determinism. And yeah, because someone, I guess they would say it depends on how fast that river goes, or how powerful, if I should say. Soon enough, I do have to leave because I got to get back home and submit this homework assignment, get to bed, get up for 3 in the morning, head to work, think about some of this stuff, come back, get back at it. But I, if you got anything else y'all want to say, feel free. But I am about to conclude in about 1 minute. This was a dope conversation. Um, I hope I helped. Oh yeah, most definitely. Anybody who's commenting or even just watching, I feel like it helps other people who on here who just are just scrolling on their social media and come across conversations where they feel like, oh, okay, let me check this out. This seems a little interesting, and you sitting here just giving your input that may help somebody. Let's talk about deterministically or free will, however you want to look at it, may actually create some kind of effect where it helps somebody else open their mind or learn something for their self or for their life or their sake. And not credit to me, but just credit for the fact that someone puts their feedback in and just to push the conversation, just to push conversation about how we look at the world. I think it's important that we don't walk around the world with one perspective, look and thinking about our own how we view it. I think it's important that we acknowledge what we view based off of our experiences and our emotion that are subjective to us. But there's valuable information out there because there are billions of perspectives, at least that we like to count, but we don't know how many perspectives that there are in the universe. But I think it's just important because you may never know what you learn, what you experience, what how you transform or transcend as a person how far your mind can reason, or whatever the case is, or what you just experienced. So you most likely helped. Blue Baby definitely helped as well. And yeah, subscribe if you want to. Subscribe if you want to. We got more coming up, and let them know that the villain is back.